What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Retro Review, the section of the channel where we review the games of the last generation to include the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 2, the Xbox 360, the regular Xbox or the original Xbox, the Wii, the Wii U, and all of the systems that came before those systems. Today we are going to talk about a very special game, a game that just refuses to die. It just seems to get better with age and it keeps on going. As you can see there by the title, it is Minecraft. Minecraft was originally introduced back on the PC, made its way to the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and then the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and is still going to this day with continuous updates and more content dropped, almost what it seems like on the daily. This game, it was something that, initially I was not really interested in, particularly because of the blocky graphics and whatnot, which is an ode to the games of generations past. But I had the luxury of a friend letting me play this, and I was immersed in the sheer amount of creativity had within this game. Essentially, the sky is the limit. The world that you're playing in is generated as you move along, and it starts off of a code that you can even find codes online and put them into the system when you create your own world to play in, and you can just go from there. Like, literally the sky is the limit. You can go as deep as you want, as high as you want, as far as you want, it doesn't matter. So off the bat, what is Minecraft? Minecraft is a 3D sandbox game. Alright, so basically it means that it's a game, open, you can do whatever you want, and it's in 3D with these blocky graphics. So there are mods in which you can make it look more realistic, but that's up to you and what system you're running. Outside of that, though, the game is fully modifiable in the three-dimensional environment, and you as the player, as well as other individuals that can jump into your game, or you can jump into their game on the system, with the exception of if you're on the computer, but on the system or over the internet, which is essentially how things are now. With the fully modifiable world, that's with the blocks and the entities that you find in the world, so you can add any number or any types of blocks that you want. You can get content packs that go and change the style of it and such like that, and then entities like spiders, camels, horses, whatever, you name it, there's probably something there for it. It's almost endless. It's crazy. So it's very diverse in its gameplay. There's really no rules to it. There is a survival mode in which you essentially try to survive in the world and make your way around, but there's not really a story, which for this game actually works out really well. You can choose the way that you want to play, and that just lends to the infinite number of possibilities that you have when playing this game. Not that it really matters, but there's 3 types of editions. You have the Java, the Bedrock, and the Education edition. Each one has a little bit of a difference to them, but you can get away with just purchasing Minecraft from any one of the respective stores, dropping into the game, starting your world, and checking out what it's all about. Alright, so right here on the screen, we got a few things that you can do. More recently, it has been linked up with a Microsoft account, so even if you're on a PlayStation, you can still sign in with your Microsoft account, and it allows you to do cross-gen and also cross-system or console type of gameplay with players. It also carries your stuff here and there, minus the store setting. Speaking of the store, we'll go ahead and jump right down into that. So this is what the store looks like now, and you have it broken off here on the side, where you can check out the marketplace, new releases, sellers, popular, realms, plus the content that you already own. And then down here, broken down into new things, textures, worlds, and skin packs. And you can just see from the selection here, if you can think of it, it's probably already been imagined. Like, for instance, this one right here, Mars Expedition, looks pretty cool. Something that would be pretty fun to try. Some of these have videos you can watch to check them out, like this one does. If you do want to see it, you can go ahead and just look for the Mars Edition Minecraft mod or world, and you can go ahead and check that out. Now, between the systems, you have two types of options when it comes to purchasing things. Minecraft is moving to tokens, but you can use your money to purchase tokens, which is essentially what you're doing regardless. Tokens is for the PlayStation 4, and then the PC and the Xbox have a different type of currency that you can use, but essentially it's all purchasable by money. Alright, from there you got your settings. You got a lot to do here. You set up your controls if you want to use a keyboard and mouse, accessibility. How do you play? You can figure that out honestly by going through the game itself. Then you got your general stuff such as your profile, your creator content, such things, video, audio, global resources, etc. So we just about covered everything in settings. One more thing I wanted to go back to was the multiplayer option, which you'll actually end up finding in your game. So let's go ahead and hit play real quick. When you go in here, you have an option under game called multiplayer, and this essentially allows you to enable your game to be played with other individuals. You'll also show up here as you see on the worlds, friends, and servers. It'll show up like if your friends are playing, you'll have yours as a joinable realm or world in which a friend can play. Now, I would say one of the only complaints that I really have with this is that sometimes, regardless of if you're linked up with your Microsoft account or not, sometimes when you go to click this on, it will not do it. I have found that that's intermittent. It doesn't happen all the time, but there are just some times where it will not click on for whatever reason, and you're stuck playing alone, which isn't bad. I mean, you know, this game, you get a lot out of it, both playing with friends and other people, and by playing by yourself. So I went ahead and loaded one of my worlds, skipped that whole loading process. I did say I have one complaint. The other complaint is that the game does take a little bit of time to load, though it's gotten progressively faster over the years. I think this has something to do with the procedural generation of the game. Essentially what that means is that the world itself is based off of what's called a seed, or in other words, your numerical digit code, and that generates your world for you, and or basically the style in which it is. You may not have everything like all of what me and a few friends have added, but you'll have different things like your islands and the water features and all that stuff. And then as you move, the world essentially generates itself in real time. And so you really don't have any loading during the game. It's all done prior to the game actually being opened up. So, what are some things you can do? You have two main modes in which you can play. Survival and, at least with the Java version, survival and creative mode. Survival mode is essentially you starting out with bare bones nothing and you're building yourself up. It's fun. If that's your style of play, then that is definitely for you. It also comes down to what type of player you are. If you enjoy a bit of a challenge, survival is definitely the way to go for you. If you are someone who is more or less looking at this game to just see what you can do and have some fun, blow off some steam or what have you, then I recommend doing something more along the lines of creative mode, which is what this game is in right now. With creative mode, you essentially have everything already available for you. So you can open up your menu here that you would have for things you've collected in survival, and it'll have everything already available to you, including things like obsidian stone, bedrock, and other unbreakable rocks and such. You can also break those things in creative mode as opposed to survival mode. And if you're making portals such as the end portal or the nether portal and whatnot, you'll have all the things you need to be able to do that as well. So let's go ahead and open up this. You'll find that you can find multiple uses for everything that you have available to you. Like, I'm using stairs here to build a roof on this suspended high-rise, if you will. Little rancher house. And it really just comes down to your creativity. I mean, there's no other way to really put it. If you can think it, you can probably create it. That's about all I think can be said about that. And you'll see with different things too, placing them at different points on here, such as if I were to place another set of stairs beside this one right here in the middle, it'll generate like that. But if I face this way and do it like this, it'll generate it like that, as though it were curving off. So there's some skill that comes along with building in these things for sure. And you can find that out just by going and playing the game, honestly. There's not a whole lot to be said or shown in that matter. I mean, you can. There's plenty of tutorials to go ahead and look up to be able to see, like, you know, different ways of doing things, getting different ideas on what you want to do with things. But ultimately, you're going to find that your game experience is really going to be flushed out as you play the game itself. Alright, so some different things. Like in creative mode, you can add little villagers and stuff. I have like steampunk enabled as one of the resource packs, so they all look a little bit weird. But you can do that and kind of populate your world a little bit. Make sure they have things to do, like gonna have a little bit of farming and fishing going on in this little area here. That way they have some jobs. Another good investment I'd recommend is gates, such as you see here, or doorways like up here. The reason for that is once you start populating your world, the creatures that also spawn at the hours of the night, such as this guy here, will attack your villagers and you'll lose your guys. Now, it doesn't really matter in creative mode because you have unlimited resources, but when you're in survival mode, it definitely plays a bigger part because you want to keep your guys alive enough to be able to actually go and do their jobs and harvest those resources for you. Now, I had previously thought that there was not a building limit to how high and how low you can go. I haven't tested how low you can go or how deep into the world map you can go, but as far as height goes, I believe it's like 364 blocks that you can build upward, and beyond that, it just will not let you build. So I tested that with this structure I have up here, and this is the tallest point in the game, on the tallest point that was naturally generated by the seed that I threw in here to be able to build off of the world. It overlooks everything, as you can tell, and is suspended by one very long pole. As you can tell, the laws of physics and anything else that kind of dictates our 3D reality world does not apply, because this structure here, unless it was perfectly balanced, which I'm very positive it's not, though I've done my best to make it look so, it would just not, this wouldn't work. Let's take a look inside. Alrighty, so the inside of this what initially started off as a pyramid and is now looks like a spinny top. Looks a little bit like this. Alright, it has the indoor water feature, so there's actually water that runs through the blue stained glass and lava that runs through the red stained glass. Added a trapdoor there just to make walking a little bit easier, and we have a trapdoor that goes up here, and I kind of, I guess, envision kind of like an arena, or maybe perhaps like a Senate floor from like an older Greek type of style, like Colosseum-ish, Roman Colosseum-ish style. Nothing too fancy though. It's not like you're gonna see many battles or anything in here because of how small the, or how narrow I should say, the section down here is. But it was fun, really fun. I do appreciate the views. I like building them, so you can come out here and just kind of like look over the whole island. One thing you'll see that I'm doing right now that I didn't mention is flying. You can do that in creative mode, and so it really enhances your building capability because you're not limited by anything. Alright, we're gonna just drop because that's faster. Alright, lava. You can't die, so that's cool too. Alright, so this little castle-ish type of thing initially started as just this little part here, and don't worry, I'm segueing into something else here. And then I built off of it down here into this area, as well as a courtyard, and front entrance here and such. But so when I did this, I was like, oh, you know, it'd be cool. I was watching Star Wars, got a Vader castle type of like inspiration, and was like, I'm gonna drop lava. So I dropped the lava off of these little openings that I built in here to make it look a little more natural, flowy and such, as if it was built over a volcano or something. And it worked out pretty well on this side. It pretty much ended where you see it here, and I ended up opening it to allow it to flow down this way a little bit further. But on this side, I think was the worst, and this side was probably the second worst, easiest to curtail the problems. So anyway, came down this side, and it rolled down the mountain. I was able to catch it where it's at now, which is fantastic. And I'll probably like cut that out a little bit here and have more lava flow down there. I'm not sure why it did stop. It should be flowing this way, but anyway, and roll its way down here because the sides were actually built up enough. Lava will destroy anything wooden or organic as it travels. So there was a lot of animals like you see here, people, or traders if you will, and trees. Yeah, that's it. That just really suffered from it. And I found myself rapidly building around the lava to stop the flow of it. And I'll kind of show you what happened. There was some water down here along the way, and it just, this is what it turns into, these two types of materials. And it essentially just ruins everything that it touches, as lava tends to do. Don't get me wrong, lava is absolutely necessary, but it is probably one of the biggest pains in the butt to work with, for sure. So I got the idea to just build structures around it, like I've done on this side, to be able to kind of like control and navigate it after the initial oopsie that I had with that. See what happens when I do this. There's definitely more to it than I had thought. There must have been water that was flowing down this way. And I break this, And let's see. Bomb, 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 bomb. Alright. Now let's see what we get. And this was some of my initial building that just got covered. There we go. Let me show you something. Don't try this at home. Very, very uncool. But we're going to sacrifice a villager to show you what happens when lava interacts with anything organic. And there we go. That's it. Nothing survives. Wonderful. Alright. Now, let's go to this side. This was the worst, as it had the steepest descent to travel and just significantly affected this. Luckily, there was a large amount of water that was originally flowing. This was actually a little bit larger, particularly at the bottom. I've restored some of it, but it just stones all the way down, and I was just having a lot of trouble with controlling this flow of lava initially. Alright, so when you're doing lava and water in survival, you can use buckets to collect it, and in creative mode you have buckets that already have it. You can just do things like this to improve your look or aesthetic of it. This one here splits off into different directions. I really lost a lot of trees with this lava. It was pretty unfortunate, but I have gained it, I have gotten it under control, thankfully. And this is what it looks like now. We have that narrow passage, which it wasn't too fond of. I had to build up the walls, like at some points doubly, or doubly. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's not a word. And then kind of like build it around here, because the water wanted to go this way. And I wanted to actually connect the water out here for some boats to travel back in through here. Haven't quite decided on what I'm going to do with that yet. But in order to do that, I needed a direction for this lava to flow as well. And rather than just forcing it, because it wanted to keep coming up, and I could have built fast enough, but I was like, you know what? What would be cooler than going and having the lava flow over the water down into this area, and then the water flowing under the lava and out into the sea. So what I did to do that, and let's check out another feature in creative mode that survival doesn't have, is when you go underwater, you don't drown. So, glass paneling. I use that to force it over this way, and then strategically place like directional walls, and then descending objects to allow the water to, or the lava to flow over that way. Alright, and then opened up down here, built this out a little bit, added another water feature, and now we open out into the open ocean out there. Now you can essentially just keep traveling. As far as I know, like I've traveled pretty far out in different worlds, and I've never actually circled the globe. It looks like it just keeps generating as you go out. I'm not 100% certain on that. And you can build into the mountains. But let me show you something else that's actually really interesting. So you can build things underwater, and it's tricky. This is incomplete, but what you want to do is you build your structure as you would want it without the occupation of water inside of it. Now this is going to be built out further, so this is like, you know, just there holding the seawater out. But essentially what you have to do, as I said, is build your structure how you want it without the water inside of it. So I built up all the walls, the ceiling, and everything. You'll see the little drips of water. If there was lava on it, you'd see the little drops of water. Don't worry about that. That just lets you know, essentially, that, hey, you're underwater. It is fine. What you need to then do is you'll use blocks like this, or whatever you want to use. Personally, I like to use glass when I'm clearing out the water, and you build from the top down. So it would look something like down, 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 like that. And every time you do that, it creates an air pocket, forces the water down and out, until you essentially have nothing left in the structure. It's time consuming, but it's a nifty, fun thing to be able to go and actually do. And it really opens up, like, you know, the level of things that you can do when you're playing in creative mode or survival. Other things that you'll have on your map are like this, little caverns that you can actually go and explore underwater, above water, whatever. And you can do whatever you want. There's essentially no rules or limitations to anything you do. Usually what I end up doing is marking spaces that I want to check out at a later date, such as up here. You'll see I have 2 torches to remind me that, hey, here's an area to build out, or I want to explore. It's a good way to keep track of things if you ever end up getting lost as to where you are. So right here we have snow. Essentially every element exists in this game. Snow being no exception. In the sunlight it'll melt, and then under the moonlight it'll come back. It's pretty cool. All you do to get rid of it, it's kind of like grass. You just hit it and it disappears, and it'll come back if it's cold enough and such, as it is in this part. And let's go ahead and take an overview look. So this seed here is basically a mountain on an island, and you're building off of that. So I'm hoping that this structural world that I have started, and I've only gotten a very small percentage of it right here, will expand very, very far out onto either side, make it like a little bit of kingdom, and then I'll go ahead and drop it for others to enjoy. But this is essentially Minecraft. So let's do a quick recap. Alright, 2 main modes of play: survival and creative. Survival for if you want to challenge, creative if you're looking to blow off steam and just, like, you know, test out your creative abilities with minimal pressure. Really depends on your style of gaming. Music, nothing fancy, but totally fits what is the game itself. So you know, it'll adjust to enemies being around you or creatures and such. You'll hear different sounds of things, like you heard the crows or whatever those birds are cawing in the background. Lava, very fun feature to add. Make sure you have a control or contingency plan with it, because you know, you could end up having it like just go crazy. If you want to stop the flow of something, I didn't actually mention this. If you want to stop the flow of something, we'll use lava as an example. So this is your starting point. It'll go wherever the gravity takes it. You just go ahead and put a cap on it, and it'll stop flowing. Alright. eventually it'll disappear. And there's another example of it just burning the organic matter away. The grass had no chance. Creatures randomly spawn, different ones at different times of day and night. You'll find that your animals like sheep, chicken, people, and whatnot don't really disappear. They do become in danger as the nighttime approaches, because that's when other things come out, like zombies, these aggressive hawk-like, bat-like things. And so make sure you have a protection plan in place for that. You can build about 346 blocks up from the highest point, as I understand it. As far as how deep you can go, I would assume 344, 346 blocks deep from the lowest point. Next, the quality. It's like 16-bit graphic, pixelated graphic, blocky graphic, however you want to go ahead and put it. It's not anything like you're playing an old Nintendo game, but it definitely has that feel, so there's some nostalgia there. And finally, you can do absolutely anything that you can think of. If you can dream it, you can build it. With that, I think we have covered everything. Probably not, because there's always so much more you can find in this game and always so much more to do. But I want to say thank you all for watching. And if you have any worlds or videos that you want to share, comments or anything like that, go ahead and drop it down in the comment box. I love checking out these new worlds since I've gotten into this game so heavily. Seeing what other people have created, because it's truly incredible to see, like, you know, what the mind and other people are able to go and just come up with. It's really impressive. There's some crazy things out there, and I totally recommend anyone who's interested in playing this, like, check out some of the creations of other individuals, because it is way more complex than this. Outside of that, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. That way you're in the know about when new videos are dropped to the channel, and, you know, just showing some love there, of course. Also hit the notification bell so that you are further in the know of when new videos and comments and such are dropped onto the channel. Again, thank you all for watching, and have a great day.